Hey guys, what's up? This is Bret. It is Friday, April 19th, 2013. Wow, what a week. I didn't even think that I was going to be able to actually do this video today, but it's such a weird coincidence because this album that I'm featuring today, I was actually going to feature last week, but for some strange coincidence, it this week was more fitting. So, as you know, of all the kind of the horrifying incidents that happened in Boston on Monday, and then it progressed, and then just a couple hours ago the other suspect was captured, and I just figured that I would represent a band and an album from Boston. It's a city I've been to. I've played, actually, my band Audra played, I think it was played at the club called the Middle East in Cambridge, which is right around the area where things are going on. But some horrifying stuff, and it's kind of just put a whole damper on this entire week, and it's been really difficult to kind of concentrate on anything else. Not to mention, when I woke up yesterday morning, a pipe broke in my bedroom, and it was just a nightmare. Luckily my friend Jesse and my dad came over and were able to help me out and stuff. So it's just this week has been a pretty big nightmare. First off, thank you guys for watching. I posted over the last week my two solo singles. I got some beautiful comments on that. Thank you guys. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. It's just a little disorienting. But thank you for watching. Tomorrow is Record Store Day, which I'm really looking forward to. I was afraid that wasn't going to actually be able to come to fruition, or actually my attendance of it, because of all these things going on. But I'm looking forward to it tomorrow, and I hope to get back at you tomorrow night with a video with Record Store Day loot. So, album and the band we're talking about, it's kind of an early 90s classic alternative album, and that's the Lemonheads and their 1992 album, It's a Shame About Ray. As usual, I'm going to just share with you guys some albums from 1992 to give you some context, and I chose to show all CDs because 1992 was the year that I've got my first CD player, and excuse me, so I thought it'd be fitting to show you guys some CDs of things that came out in 1992. The Sugar Cubes' final album, Stick Around for Joy, which is actually my favorite Sugar Cubes album. Got to see them on this tour when they played with U2. Got to hang out with Sugar Cube's drummer for several hours, and actually got to jam with him at Arizona State University. His name was Siggy, and really cool band, really great album. Man, 1992, one of the first things that comes to mind is this: Singles. The movie and the much better is the compilation. Singles is still it's a movie from the early 90s if you never saw it, but the soundtrack was just really remarkable, with the highlight of it being the Mother Love Bones, Chloe Dancer, Crown of Thorns. Got, of course, it's focused around Seattle, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Jimi Hendrix, Screaming Trees, etc. And then there's a couple Paul Westerberg tracks. A bit more of it on the obscure side. This is Current 93 with Thunder Perfect Mind, and this was the Canadian reissue that came out. Geez, I don't know when this came out. 5 years ago, maybe. It's a nice little beautiful gatefold CD with a bunch of bonus tracks on it. So really cool. Current 93. If you're unfamiliar with Current 93, check them out. Definitely a really interesting, unique musical project. Peter Murphy's Holy Smoke. And then Gin Blossom's New Miserable Experience. There's another thing I think of with when I think of 1992. This is the Deluxe Edition that came out in 2002 to celebrate the album's 10th anniversary, and here we are now, 21 years after. Crazy. I was at the release party for this album, as was Kevy Metal, coincidentally VC member, and this album, or this edition, collects an additional 22 tracks, some of the things from the Up and Crumbling EP that weren't included on the album, some tracks from their debut self-released album, Dusted, some live tracks, and some other cuts. So that's 1992 there in compact disc form. So, the Lemonheads. It's a Shame About Ray, as I said, representing Boston here today. This was their breakthrough album, although they had 4 albums before this one. This one came out on June 2nd, 1992, on the Atlantic label. The issue that I have here on vinyl is actually the plain recording reissue. And as you can see, the band members here, at the time they were a trio with Evan Dando on guitar and vocals, Juliana Hatfield from Blake Babies and Juliana Hatfield 3, and David Ryan, who joined the band prior to this album from 1990's Lovey, was on drums. Yeah, the whole album clocks in at like under 30 minutes, and it was just for that time period such a great collection. I listened to it in the car the other day, and it's just such a fun album. It was produced by the brothers Robb. What's interesting about them is those guys, blanking on one of the brothers' names, but they started Cherokee Studios they had started it on a private property, and then they moved it into Hollywood, which I believe used to be the MGM recording studios, and in the early 70s, and it was just phenomenal recording. It's now since been closed down. I think it was in 2007, but I used to drive by it because David Bowie, there's a famous picture of him walking outside of it, and David Bowie recorded station to station there, and I mean tons, I mean you name it, recorded there. Michael Jackson, I believe Porno for Pyros recorded their debut there, and then thus Lemonheads recorded It's a Shame About Ray there. This album, to celebrate, I think it was the 25th anniversary of the music The Graduate, the Lemonheads had recorded a cover of Simon and Garfunkel's Mrs. Robinson, which was released as a single. It wasn't originally included on the album, but it was reissued really quickly after it came out with that, with Mrs. Robinson on it as an added track, which really helped sell the album. And it had the singles on it were the title track, It's a Shame About Ray, which is a killer track, and then there was kind of a double A side with Confetti and My Drug Buddy, which are both really good tracks. And then of course Mrs. Robinson, which technically was a non-album track. There's my favorites are It's a Shame About Ray, Rudderless is excellent, My Drug Buddy. From beginning to end, it's just a fun album. And Rock and Stroll kicks off with Confetti, just an excellent track. There's a song on here called Frank Mills, if you're familiar with that musical, Hair. It's a cover of that song, which on the context of the album, it's just a bit strange, but in the context of the musical, it makes sense. But on the album, it's just kind of such a quirky track. Let me see here. I was fortunate, actually. I didn't get to see the Lemonheads back in the day, but I did get to see Evan Dando solo. He performed, I wrote it down here so I wouldn't forget these dates. It was in February of 2010. Me and my friend drove down to see him at a little club down in Tucson called Plush, and Evan Dando did a solo acoustic show. And my friend Brian and we were just right up against the stage. There was maybe 50 people, I could reach out and just touch. That's how close I was. And it was such a bizarre performance. I mean, it was definitely excellent. But what was really funny about it was they spent all this time getting this backdrop so they could project this image on it, and all it was like a dashboard cam of the road of them driving, I think, from Texas to Tucson, which played for the duration of the show. And it started off with their car in a car wash, which was kind of funny. And Evan just played, and it was just one song after another. He would just abruptly, the song would just end, bam, no dragged out chord, let it ring out. Song would end abruptly, boom, he'd move the capo, start the next song. There's no talk, it lasted about an hour and a half, and it was just one song after another, rapid fire, and it was just really, really interesting. Then he just walked off the stage, and it was really just a bizarre show, but it was really great. And then I actually saw, the Lemonheads actually did I guess it was a 20th anniversary tour, because it was last year and it was in the summer, and they played at a place called the Rhythm Room in Phoenix, and they did the whole album front to end. And as you can imagine, since I said the album is just barely 30 minutes or under 30 minutes, then they padded the rest of the show with a bunch of other stuff, which was, you know, it was actually a pretty long show. And the album sounded great. It sounded fresh, exciting, and high energy, and the band was killer, and it was just a great experience. So for the future of the Lemonheads, he's still actively putting out, you know, the band members have changed, still is actively putting out releases. There's one that's in the works, which is going to be produced by, or is being currently produced by, Ryan Adams, and who's also playing drums on the album. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that. And I'm going to show you a couple other things here, because if you're interested in, if you're unfamiliar with the Lemonheads, and I'm going to just kind of give you a snapshot of some recommendations I have. Besides It's a Shame About Ray, which should definitely be something in your collection. As I mentioned earlier, 1990s Lovey is really good, and this is remarkable of the fact that it has a really excellent cover of Graham Parsons' Brass Buttons. Definitely worth getting just for that. The album that followed It's a Shame About Ray was Come On Feel the Lemonheads. This was an excellent one. It's got It's About Time, Into Your Arms, which is a great song, The Great Big No, Being Around, and Rick James Style, which is an interesting one, and Big Gay Heart, which is a great track. Style, definitely get that one. 2006, I actually picked this one up when I saw Evan solo in Tucson. I had already had it on CD, but I couldn't pass up getting it on vinyl. And this is the self-titled one from 2006. And it's really an excellent album. No Backbone, the song that kicks off side 2, is just an excellent one. I'll show you this record. It has an insert in it with the lyrics and stuff, but the record, which has kind of like a mustard color on it, and this was put out on Vagrant or Hall of Records. Yeah, Vagrant, Hall of Records, 2006. And then one other additional item I want to recommend. In 2009, this just showed up at the record store one day, and I grabbed it immediately. And I know I've showed this before because I know Robbie Olivox had bought it right after I showed it. And this was Varshawn's, and it's an album you can see from the artwork. Should look familiar to you if you're familiar with Nevermind the Bollocks, the Sex Pistols album. It's modeled after the artwork, and it's an album of all covers. The vinyl is, I'll pull it out here, is bubblegum pink, which is just totally nice. And it has covers by Graham Parsons, a demo song, I Just Can't Take It Anymore, which is great. Townes Van Dance, Waiting Around to Die. Dirty Robot, which is this bizarre track, excellent, which features Kate Moss on vocals. Leonard Cohen's Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, which also has, it's a duet with, or is it a duet, or is it just, I can't remember, with Steven Tyler's daughter, which I'm blanking on. Produced by Gibby Haynes, Butthole Surfers. Also, Laying Up with Linda, a Gigi Allen cover, and Beautiful, which was made popular by Christina Aguilera, which Evan does a really great cover of it. So I think that is about it right there, guys. So thank you for tuning in. This is the Lemonheads, It's a Shame About Ray. Shout out to all my friends in Boston. A hell of a week. I'm happy that there's some resolution to it tonight. Take care, guys.